we're basically going to try paint up the diorama that we done up on part 2 stream, or number 2 stream. So as you can see, I've primed this ahead of time. You can see what we done on the part 2 stream, where we kind of just made these guys explode. Go on to part 2 and you know what we're talking about. So you can see the laser beams, or supposed laser beams, are firing into here from the Necron, and then that's exploded him, the Space Marine, and then the bullet from the Space Marine has traveled to the Necron and blown off his arm. So yeah, basically that's what we done, and we're gonna try paint this up pretty quick, and with some type of I don't know, neatness, so to speak. And yeah, let's see where we go. So I've pre-prepared a few paints here. Every time I use a paint, I'll show it into the camera so you know what I'm going to use. But we're going to start off with the silver for the Necron and then move on to the Space Marine. So the silver that we're using for the Necron is basically this metallic silver. I don't know if this is or isn't, but I think this is one of the Squidmar variation paints. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we got a few of them in for my partner, and we have, I think, their full set, so I'm trying to just use them and see what they're like. So we'll start off, like I said, with the Necron, and we shall see what happens here. I still haven't figured out the camera angle, as you can see, or the whole system with the video system, but we'll get there eventually. So we'll quickly try and just get this Necron done. I'm not too fussed about neatness because we're going to use our trusted painting technique where we do one color and then move on to another color, and this way hopefully when we move back to this color to paint other bits, then bits have dried up and we can quickly paint them. Meaning if I paint this arm, by the time I move back to this arm, this little bolt here will be dried, so I can paint over this with rusty effect and kind of like not spread the paint in, if that makes sense. I feel bad for you people like watching me half the time because none of this makes sense majority of the time. And apologies also if anyone says anything in the chat and I haven't seen it. Seeing everything on the phone is very, very small, so I can't really see what's happening. Also, I'm painting, so please try time it so when I'm not actually painting, you send a message. Okay, so as you can see here, this part is falling off, and we need to just support that with our finger so we can paint that up. It is Warhammer, yeah. Basically what it is, I'll explain to you now. It's a Necron that has shot a Space Marine, and as you can see, the lasers, these are going to be painted lasers, like the green laser beams from the Necron, and that has shot and it has exploded the Space Marine. So this part of his body is now exploded, and then that Space Marine, at the exact same time he got blown up, he has shot the Necron, and this is going to be a bullet, so we're going to eventually paint the bullet at the very end of this here. So it will look like they've basically killed each other. I don't know if anyone plays video games, but you ever shoot someone and at the exact same time you shoot them, they kill you, and then you're screaming down the computer screen or whatnot saying, I definitely shot you before you shot me. That's basically the scenario of what's happened here. The two of them have shot each other at the exact same time and killed each other. Let me know in the chat also if the music is too loud. I am playing music in the background just purely because silence is a virtue, and not with me really. Alright. So, like I said, we're using this color here, if anyone wants to know what color we're using, the metallic silver. I think this is the Squidmar range. And we're painting up the Necron first in order to move on to the Space Marine. And then, yeah, this should be dry by the time we move back and forth from one another. Hopefully it takes me about, I'm hoping about an hour and a half to finish this painting. The hardest part is, believe it or not, getting the base coats down when it comes to the silver and the blue, because it's the most actual painting that needs to get done when it comes to applying paint. The rest of it is just little bits here and there when it comes to doing details. So details don't take that long to do. I am not a professional painter. I just want to get this painted up to a standard I'm happy with. And for anyone who doesn't really know about painting, dry brushing hides an awful lot of crimes. So at the end of the day, when you go back and dry brush all this, it's just going to tie it all together, and you won't see that many imperfections when you go back. And number one rule, this is your hobby, it is for you. So the only one who needs to be happy is you. Unless you're some type of proper Instagrammer or your job's YouTubing, and in that case, you need to impress people. But we work not 9 to 5, we work, Jesus, too many hours a week to be counting. And this is a part-time hobby that we do on the side. One day we'll eventually, well, imagine one day it'd be great. Hopefully we'll get to the point where we can have this as a job. That's the dream. But at the moment, it is a hobby that I am truly enjoying being back into, and hoping to see where this leads us anyway. We're quickly going to go over this gun because we're going to paint it a bit rusty. So I don't really mind about not getting it completely covered. Yeah, I do have Gundam, believe it or not. I have a Gundam, I forget what it is. It's a Gundam figure in a giant, it's like this, I don't know, it's huge. It's about 2 foot long, spaceship with laser beams and stuff. Check my Instagram, and I think I posted a picture of it there. That box, in a stream with a few. All right, this piece of debris here, silver as well, because like I said, we want to just paint everything this color and not have to move back to this color, because it's the best way I find I can paint, is stick to a color, paint it all, and move back to it when, move on to a different color when it's dry. If anyone that's watching actually plays Warhammer, put in the comments what army you play with. I am Chaos Space Marines. Whenever I do play, that's the army I play with, Chaos Space Marines. And I majority go for the Word Bearers, because I have a custom army that I've been doing for a while called the Mutant Bearers of Fate. And it's like it's a variation of the Word Bearers, but they're all mutated. So yeah, hence the Mutant Bearers of Fate. And basically they have absurd faith to the Chaos Gods, which have mutated them into the crazy looking beings that they are now. So yeah, also on my Instagram, the lore of that. So let's move on to the blue of the Space Marine. We shall use a different brush, because why not? Got a bunch of these free brushes from a Temu painting set, believe it or not. No affiliation, no sponsorship, but just being honest, that's where we got it. Apologies. I have a wee cough that I've got lately and can't seem to get it away. But yeah, we're going to paint the Space Marine now. Or the somewhat Space Marine that we're doing here. Like I said, not too bothered about coverage because we're going to dry brush all this and hopefully tie it in. Also, what we're going to do with the laser beam is going to hopefully brighten up this area, hide crimes and stuff like that. And yes, I know I said Space Marine, but like Chaos Space Marine, just Space Marine, whatever. He's a funky looking dude. Pardon my accent. You probably thought that sounded like something else, but he's a funky looking dude. And he's fighting a Terminator looking Necron dude. I can't get any cooler than that. Hold on, I'm just trying to check out the messages here because I've been thinking about joining the Warhammer Fantasy, but I really don't know where to start since the Warhammer story and Lord brother, alright, brother, sister, whatever. Sorry, Warhammer lore is not my thing. Hence, I'm calling these the wrong things. I know that's a Necron. This is a Chaos Marine because he has Chaos stuff, but he also has Space Marine stuff on him. Who cares? Like, who cares? You just find what you like. When I first got into this hobby about 17, 18 years ago, whatever it was, I picked orcs because orcs were the best thing for kit bashing and using your creativity because you could do whatever. Orcs just find stuff, take it, use it as their own, you know? So anything could be an orc thing. Then I moved on to Chaos Space Marines and Dark Eldar. And then, long story short, I got out of the hobby for a long time. And then I got back to it, and I got back with Chaos Space Marines because I've always enjoyed just the darkness and the mutated stuff and, you know, all that type of stuff when it comes to Chaos. So, because I liked it when I played Dark Eldar. So I was like, why not go to Chaos? They're like Space Marines, but anyone who plays Space Marines would probably shoot me for saying that. But, you know, they have some type of same look in a way. They have somewhat the same weapons. So why not go for them? And that's what I am now. Now, the lore, don't have a clue. Probably will never have a clue. Don't have enough time. Work too many hours. I'm dyslexic, so I can barely read anyway, so I'm not going to be reading the lore and all this stuff. But, you know, if you're into D&D, what I do for my characters is, and what other people I know do with their characters for their army, is like they make them more custom. So for each individual guy, like I kitbashed this guy a while back, like on one of our videos, so you can have nameplates and stuff stuck on the bottom of them. Make them more unique, you know. There's plenty of stuff you can do with this hobby. I've actually been thinking about my own variation of a Warhammer and D&D combined tabletop game. So, but it's purely based, it's for those people who like to play Warhammer, but also enjoy the storytelling and stuff from D&D. So yeah, basically picture playing a full-on Warhammer game with more lenient rules, but also having a dungeon master who narrates everything that gets done and can also jump in now and again when a certain amount of bad rolls get done to turn up the tides and stuff, like spawn some type of demon or something like that. You know, I don't know why we went back to this blue, because we're done with the blue. We're done with the blue. So blue's done. We're moving on to green now because this is going to be painted green. Then we need to move here and paint green bits. So the green that we're using, sorry, the blue that we used, the blue we used was, I don't know if anybody could read that, past that label, Andrana blue, that color. And the green we're using is Moot green. Yeah. So we're going to use these at the moment and paint their little cube, because the cube also represents Necrons. Don't ask me why, but there's an awful lot of cubes in the Necron lore from the pictures I've seen. So I just go with it. Apologies, trying to check the chat again. Yeah, thank you very much for joining me, man, or woman, or whoever. Just thank you very much. Honest to God, thank you for spending what little time or as much time as you have. I really appreciate it. And you have a very nice day. And thank you very much for joining me. And you're welcome back at any point. Right, so we finish off getting the crystals or the cubes done. And these cubes, I'm not too fussed, again, for a different reason, but I'm not too fussed again about neatness. It's coverage that I'm looking for here. Another trick also, I don't know if you can tell, but this cube I 3D printed, so you can slightly see the lines. So if you're painting, paint kind of, I don't know if you can see them lines there, but paint in the direction of the lines, because what happens is the paint tends to pool. And sorry, excuse me, I have an ad going on here in the background. The paint tends to pool, and that's when you get the variations in the paint, you know what I mean, when it comes to 3D painting or 3D printing and painting the prints. Welcome to KitbashCarnage. We can't speak English. Alright. Anybody else not really fancy painting? Or is it just me? I'm trying to actually work my way back to painting. I used to love painting. I used to love it. That's also when I had 2 good eyes. So maybe that's half the battle. But for 2015, I have made myself a little pledge to pump out minimum twice as much content as I have, considering, oh, look what we've just done there. Well, that's not too bad because it's going to be like laser beams and stuff. Pump out twice as much content as I have since I've uploaded to the channel. Because I wouldn't say I've slacked a little bit, but work and stuff, and yeah, I can do better. You know, we can always strive to do a bit better. It's just sometimes life, it's hard when you actually have a full-time job and you have to do that type of stuff. When YouTube becomes your full-time job, you're obviously more prioritized in that one thing. So we're going to do the laser beams now. So we're not too fussed about neatness, purely because I can't avoid it, because I always end up making a mistake. So we'll just go with the flow and see what comes out with. We get the underside here. Alright, we've got the laser beam. We need to do a few dots of green on here. We'll actually use a different brush for that because this is starting to have a wee bit of a hair. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a hair sticking out. So when stuff like that happens, what you can do is just pinch it and pull. Sometimes that will pull out that hair. If not, you're better off, like, you can cut it and stuff like that, but moving on to a new brush is probably your best bet. And that's what we're gonna do. So let's just quickly move on to this brush. Let's get our little dots done. Apologies for the camera angle. And a little bit more paint. And then a little bit more paint. And the other side. And the concentration behind the camera right now is unreal. You don't understand. Apologies for the camera not focusing in that well. Nothing much I can do about it, to be honest. Because if I get you guys a good camera angle, then I can't see what I'm doing. And I've tried looking through the camera before, and that did not end well. I think the project ended up like, it's like over here or something. It was crazy. Next thing, we paint these little green things. Just a little dash of green. I know they're probably not green, but we're going to do more layers, and the layers can cover this green so it won't be as prominent. But it's just to add towards the whole Necron look, because the Necrons have green. So yeah. Move on to these tubes. So this tube, as far as I'm aware, we turn green. And then flip her over. And big green. You know, I've thought about not building stuff and like painting stuff and then building it. But that doesn't seem fun. You know, I like building stuff. So, if anything, I'd rather, let's turn this ad off. If anything, I'd rather not build or not paint and just build. But we can't do that, because we'll be left with a bunch of unfinished projects. And unfortunately, that's not what we're about, because that's all hoarding, and no one likes a hoarder. Right, let's paint this tube up. And this bit here. Oh. The depth perception is terrible with my... Right, here we go. That's the tube done. And then the eyes. This is where we start getting a bit... Right. Okay, I think that's alright for eyes. It's all over the place. Okay, well that will do. And then we want a little bit of green here because this is like, I wouldn't say the blood of the Necrons, but it's where it has separated, so you kind of want a bit of green there. The toes and stuff aren't green. I think that's all the green. One tube of green here, as far as I'm aware. And the concentration yet again. And then I think these are green. These vents. Someone's probably shouting on the phone here, or the screen, saying, "You're painting the wrong thing." But you know what? Who cares? Let's just paint it like this and see what it turns out like. So that's all the green as far as I'm aware. Actually need to paint more green on this plasma weapon. Alright, that's enough green. And then we move on to the rust effect. So with the rust effect, we actually have a dark rust. So we're going to use this dark rust. And we're going to use also, not that color, dark rust, and yeah, I think it was a dark rust we were going for. What is this, man? What is with these ads that keep playing? Go away, ads. All I'm trying to do is listen to some tunes and get this diorama painted. Hello, anyone who has recently joined, or apologies if you've been talking to me and I haven't said anything. But we're trying to get this diorama done that we made in part 2 of our live streams that we've done. And once this is all done and dusted, we shall be finished another project. And let me know if the music is too loud or anything, guys. Camera angle is absolutely terrible. Quite hard to get a very good camera angle and be able to paint because I keep touching the top of the phone with these. Do you know what? Thank you. Now, where were we? Now I can get closer because I don't have a giant stick poking into my phone. Alright. Oh, by the way, these are like cheap Temu brushes, so yeah. I would never do that with an actual like expensive brush because that's just crazy. But like I said at the start of the video or the live, patience is a virtue, and I don't have that. You know, I like to get stuff done. I ain't here to dilly daddle. I'm here to get progress done. And then go to bed, because whenever you're watching this, whether it's now or in the future, I'm probably at work. Alright. Get these little bits of rust down. and hope for the best that after we do a dry brush it all kind of evens out and stuff. Oh, no problem, buddy. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. You know, apologies, my, you know, camera angle isn't the best, but this is what we have so far. You know, we're doing alright. We're doing alright. We're only 30 minutes in. We might get this done within the 1 minute 30 that I said. Or the 1 hour 30, whatever it is. But hope you're doing okay, my fellow friend from Russia. Hope your day's going well. Alright. Now, we'll paint some of these little bolts here as well. Arm in his hand. Neck bit. And then we'll move underneath. You can kind of see what we're doing here. We're just following a certain pattern. And hoping for the best, really. But it's working out. It's working out. Or something's working out anyway. And then a bit of rust on the gun. Excuse me for... I have a bit of a cough, so apologies, everyone. So we're going to paint up the gun here. I know there's a tube that I've missed. See behind here, I need to paint that tube green. The back of that tube there green. So we'll do that. I just noticed that as I was painting. And instead of getting more paint, we're going to pull paint from this side for this side. So basically what I mean by pull the paint is run your brush over where you've recently painted to pull some of the pigment of the paint off that side before it dries. Because, you know, you could have put more paint down on this side than another side, and you can use that paint then to paint another side. None of this makes sense to anybody. Apologies for our Russian friend who joined. You probably can't make heads or tails of this live stream, so I do apologize. But I do thank you for joining. You know, I appreciate everyone for joining. Don't forget to hit that like button and help push a fellow hobby enthusiast like yourselves. I'm pretty sure that's how you came to see me. You're into some type of hobby, whether it be creating crazy stuff or just painting up some models. And if not, welcome to KitbashCarnage, where we create crazy stuff and paint models. Right, anything else on the gun that we need? I want to get this tippy top here done. Not done there. Here needs painted a little bit around the back. Okay, so that's the gun done. That's him done. This one wire I want painted a little bit like this. And then the feet are okay. That's okay. That's alright. A little bit of rust effect on this thing here. Like a wee dry brush. And the back of there needs to be done in, see, there needs to be done in green too. So we'll go back to the green now because we're done the rust effect. Go to green. And we'll get that tube first that we were talking about. So we'll go behind here. Take a bit of excess paint off of our brush by using the bit of our thumb or the palm of our hand or whatnot, or your palette if you're making sense. Oh, yep, that's normal. Everyone does that. If you don't do that while you're painting, you're not an expert. The concentration is real, ladies and gentlemen. The concentration is real. Right, then them green bits done. All green bits done. That Necron is done in my opinion. He is done. I've done that. I've done all that. Right, now we need green for here because this is where he has exploded with the laser beam. So that needs to be painted green. Right, now we're moving on to the gun here. Alright, that gun's going to be the metal. Apologies for the terrible angles, ladies and gentlemen, but thank you for sticking around even though there's terrible camera angles. Alright. Bit of blue. We're missing some blue there. So we'll go back to the blue. Under here. And then also this arm. Alright, you're never going to see this. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. But these are some crazy angles I need to get at. Alright. Excuse me. Alright. And so far that's what we have. Now we need to go in with the gore for this guy. But before we do that, we'll move on to the green. The more luminous green. So how we're going to do that is with some of this green stuff flora. So if we get this, we put a drop down here. This is one of my favorite paints, believe it or not, because it works magic when you do this. So it makes basically colors pop, the undercolor pop a bit more. So you can see it's making it kind of look like it's glowing, if that makes sense. I tend to put a generous amount of this stuff on because it kind of, the little pools that it makes, or the splodges, makes a good contrast to like light hitting it and stuff. Maybe this is not the recommended way to apply it, but this is how I do it. So, word of caution. Whenever you listen to me do stuff, it's usually how I do it and not the recommended way. But I think applying it like this kind of gets the job done just as the same way. We can go back, thin it out a little bit. Just making sure we get all them crevices. Because this is a crystal, it's not like shadow and stuff wouldn't be as effective on it, if that makes sense. It wouldn't be like a normal object, you know, because light can pass through it, reflect off it. So using that same technique, but a little less crazy, and we'll go on the laser beams and stuff. And as I said, this is just going to increase the laser beam look. Very unique word, laser beam, eh? Well, when I say it, it is anyway. Laser beam. Yeah. Alright, just making sure you get that effect by giving it a generous coat of the green subflora. But also making sure that we don't have too much overhangs and stuff like that, because we want to get that look of the laser beam shooting a beam and not like a splodge. So trying to get in all the nooks and crannies. And there's another ad going off. Go away, ad. Thank you. Alright, and next we're going to move on to these little bits that we have. So we can be a little bit more messy. Not really messy, but a little bit more messy, because the floor will act as like a light source. So it gives you the rebound, or not the rebound effect, but the effect of it shining onto something else. If that makes any sense. So if we get it, like, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So it can't, but we'll do it here. So here, if I put some green here, although it's not directly in the hole, it is around the hole and in the hole, so it's making it look like it's fluorescent or shining. Does that make sense? Probably not, but yeah. So, because it kind of looks like a light source. And then we move on to this one here. And then that's all done, and then we'll get this under here done. Making sure you apply a generous amount of this stuff, because it tends to work better, in my opinion, when there's a lot of it present. And then going into the eyes and everything else. So with the eyes, we'll just make sure we get a good dot of this on each eye. And then a bit of the flora paint on here for the blood that's came out. And we go through these little rib cage slits to increase the green fluorescentness. And then the tube that's like in his guts kind of here. And then the back tube here that extends to the gun. And then not forgetting the underside of that same tube, which we forgot earlier. So that's done. So you can kind of see what we went for there. That's the effect we have so far. And now we're going to move on to painting like everything else to kind of tie it all together. And then we'll put some dry brushing on, and then that should tie more of it together. And yeah, so the gun will stick a bit of rust on it now since that paint is dry. And we just have a bit of a pool situation going on here, so just use a piece of tissue to get all that pool out. And then just reapply your rust colour onto the gun. Making sure you don't undersaturate it or oversaturate it. And we need to have a bit of rust for this guy. So just random areas. And then a bit of silver for the back of him. And then we do some trim and some silver. I'm not too fussed about this being neat, as I say. Just trying to get the paint on and get the project complete. Because this is not, it wasn't really a painting kind of project, it's more just a concept project. So this will be done on a much bigger scale and have probably lots more people attached to it. I have a huge diorama plan that I'm doing. So this type of stuff is going to be done in it. So it's just me trying to see what I can do, what my skill level is at right now, if that makes sense, before I attempt to do anything crazy. So yeah, just getting a bit of silver around this guy, or metal or metallic, whatever you call it. And then we're going to go in with our blood and stuff, and then we'll paint the hands and all that after. Actually, we'll do that now. So I have a skin color, just hold on 1 second. There we go. I have a flesh tone. I think this also is from the Squidmar range. So let's use this and see what this is all about. So another new brush. Let's use. Should have a brush here somewhere. Here's a brush. Also, it is huge. So let's just break that. And yeah, these are all crappy Temu brushes, so don't be alarmed. And then we'll go in with the skin tone paint. Not trying to be neat with the skin tone either, because at the end of the day we're going to dry brush over this, and I'm hoping that the dry brush hides a lot of the crimes that we have going on here. If it doesn't, well, we'll work with that. And then we'll paint his head up. This is actually a really good skin tone colour. Shout out to Squidmar Paints. See, it just covered that blue there actually quite well, so it does it has good coverage, you know, when it comes to applying over a paint. So yeah. Then again, I don't usually do skin color an awful lot because I don't like painting faces and stuff. But for skin color, that's pretty good. It's not bad. And what we're going to do now is I need to get the red on the go for the blood. And this is where it gets difficult now. We can actually move that arm a little bit so we can get in here. Apologies for not talking, but I'm really trying to concentrate, everyone, so I am so sorry. But yeah, I'm just trying to basically do the gore there that's coming out, and then we'll do a dot here because obviously his hand has fell off, and then the neck also and the leg has to be done. So we'll get this done out of the way. This is very difficult, but the good thing is we can move the head because it's on a little piece of metal, so we can actually manipulate that in order to get around it and paint in the areas we need to. And then just move that head out of the way. Thank you very much. But this is how we should do all our minis. Just pin them, so then you can just manipulate. Well, I suppose that's kind of what painting the individual parts is all about, and then putting it all together. But if we all just done exploded minis like that, you could just manipulate the head any way you want. And then we do this leg. And making sure that we get moving that leg again and making sure we get all the gory bits done. And then when that's done, let's put the brush down before we put red somewhere we don't want to. So when that's done, just manipulate them in the way we want to, and then we can move on to what else do we need to do now? Now we need to obviously do the dry brush, but the dry brush is going to have to wait till everything's dry, so we'll hold off for that for a little bit. We need to do this, a little bit more of our green stuff, because this is going to create light that is going to be on this. So let's just quickly paint up the light that's going to be reflected here. Also there's light there, light reflecting there. little bit here. And that's fine. Fine. Here. Apologies for the cough, ladies and gentlemen. And then obviously on the base, but the base is going to be covered anyway. And now, that's the light of that. We have our dry brush left to do. Our bullet, now our bullet's next. So the bullet is going to go all the way up here. And then at the very tippy top, we're going to need to get some gold. So give me 1 second. I'm so not ready for any of this. Gold. Alright, we go with this brown colour. It's kind of a goldy brown. And we're getting a little thin brush. And we'll try paint our bullet at the very tippy top here. So the bullet's just going to be basically just brown. Okay, that is definitely on its way out, that brush. So let's just get another brush. Get this brush here. It's got an alright nib on it so far. Wet that up. Okay, paint that bullet up there, and then we paint this here so it looks like it's the bullets as well, if that makes sense. And then the back. Okay, we don't want to paint that. Depth perception is not my forte, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so that's painted up, and then paint the side here. Right, and then what we're going to do is a bit of fire coming out of all this. And you might go, fire? Yes, fire. So how we're going to do the fire is a bit of hot orange from Squidmar. I'm hoping this works basically, because this exact technique I haven't tried, but I've tried something similar to it. So let's just put some of that on, and then a bit of that there. Alright, and then we swap it up and we go with our Flora colors now. So we're going Flora orange, or Flora orange, yeah, Flora orange yellow. Okay, so sometimes the thing is blocked, so you need to give it a little poke. Open it up, obviously, because I don't look after my stuff enough. And then move on to the Flora yellow. And hopefully this one isn't blocked either. Nope, thank God. Alright. We get our paintbrush. And then we go to our Flora colors, and these are just going to be added where the flame kind of would be, if that makes sense. Then we're just going to wash it out and apply the other Flora colors, and hopefully we're hoping that this creates flames, if that makes sense, like movement. But we'll see what happens in the end. And then we go on to the yellow. And making sure we take off all the excess droplets, because this is quite a thin runny paint, or it's not even a paint, Flora, whatever it is. So that's that we've got done. It's pretty much done in my opinion, and then we just have to do a dry brush on top of that, and I'll be happy with that, to be honest. Get a little bit of rust back here, maybe a bit on the stone he's on here, the rock, a bit more on the rock. Right, now it's dry brush time. So for the dry brush, we're going to use this brush, and we are going to use a kind of a black. So if I get I think it's here, dark rust. No, that's not the color. This is the color we're using. I don't even know what type of color it is. Sentinel Asia metallic metal. And then along with some of this whatever copper, we shall see what we come out with. So dry brush time, and again, I can't find my dry brush palette. I keep on, I make dry brush palettes, and then I lose them, and then I make them again, and then I lose them, and then I make them and I lose them, make them and I lose them. I think I have about 25 dry brush palettes just left around. But we're going to use what we have and just get the job done. Oh, there's the dry brush palette. Right, I made this thing out of screws and stuff because I needed something. So, going in with our dry brush. Just quickly getting some bits of detail highlighted. And that kind of just makes these little crevices you can't really see in the camera, but it is making it pop that little bit. Ever so slightly, it's making little bits stand out. And that's what we're looking for. It's just that little slight variation. of characteristics and stuff. And then we move on to the next colour, and this is going to be for this Space Marine guy. Just make sure his arms rotated in the correct way. Right, and now we need to move on to another brush, because that dry brush we're going to end up painting bits that we don't want to paint. So let's get in here with this. Right, a little bit over here. Kind of just going crazy now at this stage. And then we're going to paint this brick up with whatever we have left of whatever. Best type of brick combination is whatever you have left, because stone is not really something that is the same everywhere. So this does the job, doesn't it? You know what I mean? We can be a little bit more detailed and stuff, but do we want to spend another half an hour making a rock look good? No. If you guys want me to stay another half an hour and make a rock look good, let me know in the comments. But that's pretty much it done for now. We'll add a few more bits and bobs here and there, but that's something that I am going to call done and dusted. We're going to do the base, and then we're going to put the frame that we had here. We took that off before we based it. And then I'll post the finished product picture on my Instagram, so KitbashCarnage Instagram, and then you'll see what it looks like when it's all done and dusted. So thank you all very much for staying with me this long. We've been here an hour and 8 minutes. I did say it would take me about an hour, hour and a half, and all I have to do is put a bit of PVA glue on this and some turfs and stuff, and yeah, that'll be done. So thank you again. Stay tuned for more, and like, subscribe and comment, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be notified for future lives. See you later.